Are you going to hang all the people who killed their girl children?
Ma'am, I'm asking you
I mean,
today.
we're going completely off track.
No,
over
this
here.
country has a
We need to
1,000.
think about the gender holocaust which is happening.
Completely agree
where
with you.
women are being killed in such large
But
numbers
this is what we are saying.
that we are actually facing a crisis.
So
I mean,
then,
that is what we have to think about, not think about these patchwork
my question
solutions.
is, my
By
question
killing
is,
this man
how does
who was obviously, apparently,
how
I don't know whether he was under drugs or alcohol or what it was. They come from a very poor family. I mean, okay, they might have had a lot of problems, but this brutal murder, yes, it makes a lot of good sensational news. But what about all the silent killings that are taking place, where people from middle class, rich families in South Delhi or, Chandigarh or Haryana, all of them are
I
killing
agree
their
with
babies
you.
even before they're
I
born,
completely
and
agree
only
with you.
because they're girl children.
I completely
So
agree
what
with
do you call that?
I completely agree with you, though I disagree that this is sensational television. I think it's an important subject. We ought to discuss it, but I completely agree with you. And I want to ask once again.
Yeah, it is an
I want to
important
ask once
subject,
again,
but
Mr. Verma. Mr. Verma, my question to you is, today we have a 1,000 crore rupee, 244 million by conservative estimates industry on selective sex abortion, right? Sex selective abortion. What has been done to end this industry, to combat this industry, and why is it still persisting and growing in India?
I would say very little has been done, and that has been one of the drawbacks. In fact, if you look at the number of convictions under the law, it's appallingly little, and that is why I feel that this is something which all the state governments have to take up very seriously. I agree with you that well, practically nothing has been done in this regard, and perhaps what we need to do is all the other people who are involved, the civil society groups, the NGOs, they also have to take it up in a big way so as to educate the public.
Why?
It's not simply the government's responsibility. It has to be a
What
mass
is the
movement.
government's responsibility? No. Why is it the NGO's responsibility? NGOs. Yes, Geeta Aravindan wanted.
Can I say something over here?
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Can I say something
Yes,
here?
please go ahead.
I think it's a social mindset that has to change. I mean, how can you say it's the government's responsibility or the police responsibility? As long as people do not want to have girl children, they'll find ways and means to finish them off. It could be, illegal sex scan and illegal abortion. It could be infanticide. It could be, just neglect. You don't take your girl to the doctor when she's sick, hoping that she will die. So there are so many ways in which you can kill the child, and how can the government intervene in all these things? The social mindset has to
just
change.
to take it further with you, my worry
I want
is,
to respond to that.
No, my worry is that social mindset take a long time to change. One wants to put the fear of the law. Why are we asking this question?
Can I come in? Can I come in?
The fear of the law to come in.
We have a very good
So that
PNDT Act.
Can I come in?
Yes, Ms. Naik, go on. Can the fear of the law come in?
I think we need to have a line of accountability. We just need to have a line of accountability. Whether it is the PNDT Act, the Juvenile Justice Act, who is accountable if a child dies of malnutrition? Who is accountable if a child dies in the womb, is killed in the womb, if a child is battered like this? I think there is absolutely no line of accountability in our government system. Agreed, the civil society has to put the pressure. Media is stirring our consciousness, but let's get some accountability. Whose head is going to, really rock when in this incident? Who do you take? The health department? Do you take the women and child welfare department? Do you do the legal setup? The whole thing is so ambiguous. If we have systems in place, a line of accountability, I think the government system will start working, it will start moving, and things will start happening. Then civil society can.
No, I want to ask Sumit Verma here. I want to ask the lawyer on the panel. Watch it, Miss Aravindan, Miss Aravamudan. I'm just coming back to you, ma'am.
One more thing.
Miss Aravamudan, I'm just coming back to you. I want to ask the lawyer on the panel, Sumit Verma, that considering the grievousness, the barbarism displayed in this, the brutality displayed in this particular crime, there are many people who believe that man who is Afrin's father, I don't even want to disgrace the term father by calling him a father, that he should be hung, he should not be allowed to live. That will create a precedent, a fear among any potential killer in our society.
Yes.
What do you think?
That's not enough, Arnab.
But it is a step. Okay. Yes, Sumit.
Absolutely right, Arnab. In fact, the law laid down by the Supreme Court in Machi Singh versus State of Punjab is that a case which falls under the category of rarest or rare case and which shocks the collective conscience of the community befits a capital punishment. And in fact, the Supreme Court even enlisted a few circumstances of the cases which can fall under the rape arrears category. And one of the circumstances was when the victim of the offence is a child, an innocent child, and the murderer is in a dominating position vis-a-vis the same child. In that event, the offence will fall under the category of rape arrears cases, which befits a capital sentence. So hence my view is that since capital sentence is a part of the statute in India, this case does fall under the category of rape arrears, and therefore baby Afreen's father deserves a capital sentence provided his offence is proven in accordance with the law in the trial court.
Well, of course, I mean, there is no doubt about it. The mother has said it. There is no absence of proof here. Yes, Sohail.
I think there are 3 or 4 things I completely agree with.
I need to just
Geeta,
add a word of caution here.
I completely...
The prosecution and the investigating agency should not lose its focus in this hullabaloo of a death penalty, and the investigating agency has the onus to ensure that they collect not only the evidence of the mother but also some independent witnesses like the neighbors, etc., who may have been eyewitnesses to the torture of the child, or in case they are devoid of any independent witnesses, then the weapon, if at all, if any weapon was used, then the prosecution.
No, I understand, but my worry is, Sumit, I understand that. My worry is that till there is media focus, police follows up. Otherwise, the police forgets these cases. Sohail, quickly, Ms. Aravamudan, coming to you right after that.
I think there are 3 or 4 points.
Arnab, this is precisely what I'm saying. Arnab, this is precisely what I'm saying.
Geeta
my point is that
1 minute, yeah, the lawyers will always.
Arnab,
1 minute.
1 minute.
Yes, my point is.
Okay, Sumit, complete your point. Then I'm coming to you, Sohail. Yes.
Arnab, I've yet to complete my point. My point is that law is very clear. In case the prosecution proves its case in the court of law, that the father is the perpetrator of this crime, then this offence falls under the category of rape arrears case.
I understand.
And befits the capital sentence.
But today,
the Supreme Court is very clear on it.
But today,
all I'm stating is that the investigating agency should not lose its focus.
I understand, but today,
the court of law through charges.
I take your point. Yes, Sohail.
I'm making 3 or 4 quick points. Number 1, Geeta is absolutely right that we need to change social mindsets, but waiting for social mindsets across India to change is like waiting for Godot. So let's not lose the urgency and the fact that this has happened, this despicable act has happened, to actually raise the ante on 3 things. Number 1, we need fast-track courts for crimes against children of the most heinous or the non-heinous type. Number 2, we still don't empower people at the investigating or the enforcement arm to actually bust sex determination clinics, which are running, as you rightly say, 1,000 crore plus industry.
All over.
Number 3, civil society can only play a limited role. The role must be buttressed by a government campaign which has 2 pillars: education awareness and the fear of death, that should you do this to your child, this is what will happen. This is how you need to change social mindsets. Social mindsets won't change. Geeta's right. There is as much child abuse in the richest homes as there is in the poorest homes. To ascribe this to a level of either illiteracy or poverty is the biggest mistake.
If the government representation tonight is that of the NCPCR, then I'm asking Love Verma tonight. Love Verma, Mr. Verma, I want to understand from you how you said, you made 2 observations. One about the Garden of Eden, which you stood by. You have a right to stand by it. The first observation was, change does not happen overnight. Sir, I'm asking you today that for years, for decades, a girl child is 75% more likely to die or be killed before her 5th birthday than a boy. Why did you say overnight, sir? This is India's worst kept, longest running embarrassment. Why are you saying overnight?
May I say something? May I say something? I think you've not paid attention to what I said in the first go, that there's already a bill before Parliament, and that is against protection of children against sexual offences. It has been introduced in the Rajya Sabha. A standing committee has
but I'm not talking about protection of children against sexual offences. I am talking about murder.
The first point is obviously to get a law in place.
Sir, I'm asking you one thing. Today, according to
Why is it
according
taken
to
us 62 years to get a law?
according to Geeta Arvamudan's book, and she's on the show tonight, she can contradict me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you've read her book, Disappearing Daughters. But in that particular book, she says that inducing pneumonia is one of the modern methods of killing a girl child. Now tell me, will your bill address that? I don't think it does. It doesn't.
No bill can address such things, Arnav.
How do you address
Because
it?
you see, this
tell
is the
me how
kind
it
of
is
thing
to
that's
be
happening
addressed.
all over the country.
Yes.
No bill, no government can address such an issue.
It
So
can.
that's why I'm saying that social mindset
can.
is very important.
Exactly.
Another very important thing that that I feel should happen is that women should be shown as economic powers, not as economic burdens. It's the reason why people want to kill off their girl children, is because you think they have to pay a dowry, that the girls will become dependent, that they, So, I have tried to show in another book of mine that women are not just wage earners, but they're also the pillars of their family, economic pillars of their family, very often. But the mindset in our country is such that you believe that a girl is an economic burden. So you have to finish her off. A girl can run your business. A girl can support your family. A woman can be the sole supporter of the family. Most often the women don't drink, they don't gamble away their earnings. Whether it's in the lower social level or right up there on top, women are the powers of the family.
My question to
you
Neena
see
Nayak.
Our society doesn't understand this, and
My
that is
question
the
to Neena
reason
Nayak.
why we are having this large-scale female genocide.
No, I understand.
That is the issue that has to be addressed.
You see, my
this
question-
one poor man, I'm saying poor man because he's literally a poor man, but one man killing his child, yes, it focuses attention on the issue, but that is not
That
the
is the
issue
point.
that we should be addressing.
then
we should
my-
be addressing the larger issue of genocide.
I want to go back where I started. My question was to Mr. Verma at the NCPCR, and my question now is to Neena Nayak at the Karnataka State Commission for the Protection of Child Rights. These commissions, with all respect, please don't take me wrong, you are the chairperson of your state commission, are recommendatory commissions. They can tabulate, compile, make compendiums, recommend. Beyond that, they can do nothing. Today, you cannot do anything more than recommend, meet people. It must be infuriating you that you cannot take it further than that. Doesn't it
Definitely.
infuriate you?
No, it definitely frustrates us because of a recommendatory body. But the other thing that we can do is we can file a writ to the High Court and seek directions. If you give commissions more teeth, I plead to the authorities in place, the state governments and the national government, you give us more teeth, and then we'll be on the ground and our recommendations. We'll see that our recommendations are enforced. See, we are looking at a whole gamut of things: the policies, the programs, what the delivery is happening on the ground. We know the realities, and we can work with state governments. But the trouble is, sometimes we look as a threat, as a very threatening part of this whole, child protection kind of a map. Where are we? What are these commissions trying to do? So I think give us more teeth, and this is what even the many judges at the Supreme Court and the High Court have.
But you're not
expressed
getting
their
more
views, saying
teeth.
Give commissions more teeth, and they will be able to
You're not
function.
getting more teeth.
No, but then
Yes, Sohail.
Arnav, the answer is, as Neena rightly said, because I have lost all hope in the executive. I think the only hope in this country is the judiciary. Let us use this as a symptomatic malaise of a larger affliction, and use this instance for the commissions to approach the Supreme Court, including Love Verma, rather than walking the Garden of Eden, actually walking to the Supreme Court and saying that we are powerless, we are rudderless, we are toothless. Please give us powers of action where we can demonstrate,
Or close us
create
down.
deterrence, and that's the only way forward.
Or close us down.
So let's let these commissions,
Or
close us down. They should resign. They should resign.
Mr.
What's
Verma.
the point of being frustrated? Just walk away.
Mr. Verma,
Yes.
would you like to respond to that?
Yes. I don't think at the national level we feel that we are toothless or powerless, and we have not just given our recommendations but followed them up on them. And to give an example, the Child Labour Prohibition and Regulation Act is under amendment because of the recommendations we have made. They were taken up by the NAC, and subsequently by the Labour Ministry.
I'm talking about the more pressing issue of children being killed.
That's not just the only case. We intervened in so many cases of corporal punishment, including the Ravanjit Rawla case in Calcutta.
So I am talking about something a little bit more pressing.
And we did see success in so many cases. So I wouldn't say, maybe at the state level that feeling is there, but not at the national level.
Well, I leave it at that. I leave it to people who are watching the News Hour tonight to determine for themselves whether the fight to make sure that we don't have one of the most pathetic records globally in prevention of violence against the girl child, whether we are doing enough. I leave it for the viewers, and I hope all the powers that be in New Delhi and all the state capitals think for themselves, dig deep into their conscience about what they have to learn from the baby Afreen case. And if you're watching the News Hour tonight, wherever you are, in whichever city, whichever part of this country, go out, challenge the system, start your own movement to ensure there is no more Afreen or Falak. And tell us what you do, because we will put that on television as well to build up the pressure.